He has a meeting over in West Scotia, and
You might not make it at all, though.
he might not make it at all.
He said he was gonna try.
Sure. So whenever he comes, like, scoot him in. But is Cody's here at all?
He said he
He
was.
said he's gonna be on. Sad.
He did. He called me and said that.
Good for him.
Yeah. Not yet.
All right, 7. Good? Yeah,
Yep.
Zoom.
Microphone.
It's on. It's on. Good evening. Thank you for coming to the meeting of January 21st, 2025. Calling this meeting to order, I would ask that you would all please stand with the pledge of allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence. The first responders.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. This meeting is being recorded on Zoom, and recording will be uploaded later to the Township YouTube channel. Under the chairman's report, we met in executive session prior to this meeting to discuss legal matters and real estate matter. Is there any public comment regarding non-agenda issues or items tonight from anyone?
I have a comment.
What's that?
I have a comment.
Did you have? Hold on. Did you have a comment on anything off the thing tonight, or
You want to be first?
you wanna go?
Yeah.
You go first, John.
I just wanted to say, I drove out yesterday and today. The roads were cleared, excellent, brined, plowed, thanks to the Public Works Department.
Come on up.
Jerry Rifnack, 200 Reservoir Road, that sets me up perfectly. So as a member of this township for over 40 years and have plowed personally and professionally numerous times, I'm concerned with the amount of plowing that we're doing. I don't know why there's this expectation that we have to be dry, white line to white line in any storm. And it costs us a lot of time, a lot of money, and it puts people in danger. I spoke with Mark this week during the storm because I witnessed our drivers going at rapid speed, going through stop signs and disregarding the fact that there may be other people on the street. I know they do a good job. I love Mark, known him a very, very long time. But I think that we have to rethink what the priorities are, money-wise, time-wise, and caution-wise. Because I think you're just looking at the end result. And when I see the end result, I see white roads that are killing our cars. We've overbrined, we've oversalted, and we've overplowed. And all we're doing is costing ourselves money. And as a fiscal responsible person that I am, when I run my household and my businesses, I expect the same from you. So please take that into consideration.
Yeah, we will. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thanks.
And Jerry, just so you know, I did talk to Mark as well. And he said, as far as the guys going through the stop signs, I asked him to please make sure that he's talked to them about that. And he said that he absolutely already has. And he said that, you know, you guys are out there, but you have to observe all signals and signs. So,
I say the same thing about the police
So,
and the ambulance.
just-
that go by the alcohol.
yep, just so you know, I'm just letting you know that I did talk to Mark about that. So,
All right, thank you. We're going to Under emergency service reports, we have an interim chief, Dave Lee, to report for WeGo. Welcome, interim chief. Thank you.
Before I get to the report for the month, I just want to take an opportunity to wish the board Happy New Year. Just want to wish the board Happy New Year. I want to briefly give an introduction of myself, if that's okay. My name is Dave Leahy. I've been with West County Scotia Police Department for 26 years now. This 2025 will be my 26th year here. I'm truly honored and appreciate this opportunity that's been given me to lead the members of what I believe is the best police department in Chester County and the region. So I don't take this responsibility lightly. And again, thank you to the board, thank you to the police commission for this opportunity. For the statistical report for December, bear with me. So for the month, the monthly total calls for all townships, for both townships, were 1,839. Broken down to East Goshen specifically in December, that was 1,084 calls. For 2024, our total calls for servicing were 25,085 calls, and that includes both townships. For 2024, the entire breakdown of all the calls that we handled in both townships can be found on our Crime Watch page under the Police Commission packet. So if anybody wants to see what we actually handled throughout 2024, they can do so there. So first, we want to thank our residents. During Christmas season, we were it's some great food and treats from our residents. Our residents take great care of us. In fact, now there's a couple of us are on diets now because of that treatment. So you know, but thank you to the residents. Some initiatives that we also the officers took part in over December were one warm coat drive initiative that was headed up specifically by our business manager, Kathy Brill. But through volunteers from the community, our officers, 1,500 coats were donated and then distributed to different organizations throughout the county. So it was a great initiative. Our officers also participated in the Bluebeards charity. If you're not aware of it, for the months of October, November, December, officers are allowed to grow their beards out for donations. We also collected donations from residents, and the grand total that West County Scotian Police Association donated was $5,670. Again, that includes generous donations from our residents as well. We had a department coffee with the cop in December at East Goshen Giant. That was well attended. Various discussions were had with many residents and shoppers that showed up there. So we want to continue that initiative as well. Some trends going on in December included numerous frauds and scams. This is something that we see every month. It's something we try very hard to get the information out to our residents. But specifically, there were 11 reports of fraud in East Goshen in December. Most of these involved ID thefts, fraudulent checks or wash checks, internet-related scams. One incident involved a phone call where the caller told the victim they missed jury duty and they needed to pay a fine for missing jury duty. And that person ended up paying out $7,000 in Bitcoin.
How much?
7,000.
Seven?
7,000.
Wow.
Unfortunately, most of these scams are, you know, we can't. They're coming from somewhere else in the world. And unfortunately, a lot of them are unsolvable. That's the unfortunate part. So, like I said, we really want to try and get the word out to our residents to be careful, to secure your accounts, not to take phone calls, you know, or emails seriously. You need to verify. If you get a phone call or an email saying there's something wrong with the account, you need to verify that with your bank institution. But again, we're going to continue to get the word out through educational resources.
Can you give us the age range on the victim?
So yeah, Dave, so I believe that victim was I don't have the range, but they were from, I believe, Hersheyville Development, so you know, and that's typically who was being targeted.
Thanks, sir.
We also had 7 thefts in East Goshen during December. The trend there was package thefts, obviously with the holidays. We had a few in the Goshen Valley Development specifically. So sadly, over the last few months, our department has, unfortunately been investigating suicides at a higher rate than we normally do during the year. This is not uncommon during the holiday season. But what we would like to do is we'd like to remind people that if they're in crisis, there's resources for you. So they can call 988, which is the suicide and crisis hotline. They have counselors available 365 days a year. In 2024, there was an initiative in Chester County where a mobile crisis resolution team was put into place. So throughout the day, 24 hours, 365 days a week, some persons, they can contact 988. If they do so by their cell phone, it should go directly to the local crisis remote team, and they will come out and assist you. Many times we'll work with the crisis team if they need it. So again, there are resources if people need assistance. So that's all I have for today. Unless you have anything for me.
I'm gonna say thank you, and I just want to point out that sometimes even our board receives emails and it looks like somebody is sending them out from the board. And it might say, hey, I didn't have time to talk to you before. I'm going into a meeting and I need you to go pick up some gift cards for the staff. And so they come to us as well, and it's a lot of spoofing.
I get them, finance department gets them.
Yeah,
They're, they'll say that it's, I want to change my payroll, please contact me, and you know, it's an employee, but it's not their email. But if you're on your phone or a mobile device, you don't see that readily. It's easy to be susceptible, whether you're elderly or not, so.
it is.
Yeah, like I said, they've come up with very, very creative ways. This jury duty scam with the Bitcoin is a newer one. You know, we've seen in the past the grandparents, they get calls or, I'm in Mexico, send $5,000 or PayPal, and unfortunately people send the money. But there are ways to get around that. One thing, especially for something like that, have in place like maybe a code word is what we want to tell people. So if you have a grandson or a relative that legitimately is in trouble, have a family password. That way yeah, this is legitimate call. But unfortunately, people do fall prey to it. So
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Grant is in another meeting tonight. He's going to try and get here, so if he does get here, we'll speak to him then.
Just one note, Mr. Chairman, on
Yes.
the emergency service reports. Yes, Grant, we'll try to get here. Malvern's report is in there if anybody wants to peruse that at their own leisure. Good Fellowship, I didn't get it till late, so it is not in there.
Okay.
So I will double up and get that in the next one for
Mhm.
the end of the year, January and February.
All right, then there's no public hearings tonight. So we're down to the financial report. Dave, would you like to?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good news, as of December 31st, that have passed through the general fund as preliminary, and I say preliminary because we may have some true-up adjustments based on our discussions with Mally, which are ongoing through February. I don't foresee a lot of changes, so I think we're in good state, but I'll give the report as is now. We had year-to-date revenues of $13,512,484 and expenses of $13,455,797, with a net result of $56,687 to the positive. As of December 31st, 2024, our general fund balance was $6,514,710. The year-to-date revenue finished 2.1% or $283,000 above budget. Reason for this was EIT collections, our transfer tax receipts, alarm fees, insurance proceeds, and interest in earnings above expectations, which offset budget shortfalls in our public safety fees, building permits, reoccupancy permits, contractor license permits, franchise fees, and budgeted transfers from fund balance to cover higher WEGO payments. We did not have to make those higher WEGO payments. The year-to-date expenses are 1.7% or $226,000 over budget. There were lower paving, stormwater, and park maintenance costs offset by higher planning and zoning expenses, building repairs, and a January 2025 WEGO payment. So the basic takeaway is we had a lot less liquid fuels costs for paving And we applied those to other applicable costs with the help of, my staff AP, Jana Guider, and we came out really well. Any question on fund balances or the year in general?
So did we get a WeGo, reimbursement?
We get the surplus, typically the payment, the surplus that we'll receive for 2024 will be in the 2025 reduction of expense. And should be in the February payment.
Do you know what that might look like this year?
I believe it's 100.
I think it's a little over.
All right,
It's close when you look at our percentage of it. It's
Yeah.
pretty close to 100,
Okay.
yeah.
Dave, can I ask you about page 2 of the report I'm holding? There's an unfavorable beside public safety of 20, what is that? 29,815.
19,000.
Oh, I'm sorry, 19,000. You're right.
Revenue.
Um,
You're in the revenue section for public safety.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, $20,000. What are we no longer collecting or?
The contractor license permits are no longer collected. That was budgeted for 24. We're no longer taking that. The reoccupancy fees. We were just 11,000 behind budget, which was kind of the average of prior years. And slightly down on building permit fees from prior year.
Okay, so should we be doing anything differently?
Well, we can't force people to get permits, so permits are as they come, but they typically range from 2,000 to 2,300 per year. And depending upon economic circumstances, I mean, everybody thought in COVID we would be crushed, but as soon as COVID kind of opened up a little bit, everybody took those windfall checks and they redid their ducts, redid all sorts of things. So we saw a windfall there. So maybe it was a little bit overblown as a projection, but I don't think there's a whole lot more there. Derek will talk more to the rental reoccupancy agreement changes that we're doing in 2025. If anything, we should collect a little bit more on an annual basis from those fees because of the rotation and the increase in the fees that we did with the fee schedule at the first meeting.
So the contract license, that was a big one to streamline. Unfortunately, it means a little bit of a revenue hit. But we were one of the only townships around still doing contract licenses at the township. It is now done at the Commonwealth level. And it's a little bit of a hassle to keep that database and trying to streamline and have our people focus on permits and inspections and things of that nature. It was one of those things I was looking at to really take off our plate when the Commonwealth does it for us, and it was no longer necessary for years at the township level.
Does the town, Commonwealth, take money back to us, or do they keep it?
They keep it.
No, they keep it.
Yeah.
Uh,
It would kind of be double dipping, so I understand the perspective in that regard, as far as, you know, if I'm a contractor and I'm going, I gotta pay for a state and then I gotta pay for the township as well. A lot of places may do it, I have no idea, but it was a great revenue stream all last.
All right, thank you, Dave.
Yeah.
Dave, one quick question. Are the park maintenance fees separate line items, or are they just thrown into grass cutting for the township? I'm talking the parks, the walkways that's been created, are those separate line items, or are they just?
Probably all I'll have to double check on that one to give you exact clarity. I would think that most of the communal things that are not right at the township building would be considered park, because it's usually park, recreation, open space. So like reservoir, that path, all those kind of communal areas would be considered park and open space. So that would be under park maintenance, and that is a separate line item from township maintenance, other maintenances.
So we can see from year to year what cost.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Just so people on Zoom can hear, the question was, to be clear, it was, our park trails are they a separate line item, or are they included in another line item? So And Dave answered that, just so you can hear.
Great.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept these receipts and approve the expenditures as presented
No,
in the
that-
expense.
That was the financial report.
I
So I don't think you need,
was, well, we're done. I thought we were done. I can make the next motion, can I?
you can do that too.
Yeah, the minutes.
Well, the good news is too, if you hear the loud point at the end, it's $6.5 million balance in general fund. That is kind of our general fund savings account outside of the rainy day fund, outside of everything that taxpayers have built up that is giving us a cushion to unforeseen things coming in the future.
Can I make the motion now, Derek?
I guess I spoke too soon.
Chairman, I move we accept the receipts and approve the expenditures as presented in the expenditure register and as summarized in the treasurer's report. Second. No?
Do any board members have any questions regarding the bills? Or does anyone in the room or on Zoom have any questions? Seeing none, I will call the question in favor of the vote.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Cody, aye. All right. All in favor?
All.
All right. There's no old business tonight and new business, Derek.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to first say that I was working on this ordinance with Mark and also Dwayne, who is on here tonight. So the East Goshen rental ordinance, we don't have one currently. So I want to stress this, and I said this in the memo, we are currently doing rental inspections. We have for years and years prior to my tenure here, prior to Dave's tenure here. But there was no ordinance to back it up. We were basically doing it under the resale reoccupancy ordinance, which is an entirely separate thing that has to do for when, again, there's resales in the township and reoccupancy of those resales. So we were using language from that ordinance to cover the rentals. We don't really feel 100% comfortable in that regard. So we wanted to present this ordinance in order to back up the day-to-day that we're already doing at the township level. Now, Dave did reference one change we were going to make, which really has nothing to do with the ordinance itself, but it was more of an administrative change we wanted to do in the way we went about rental inspections and breaking it up, particularly the apartment buildings every 3 years. So doing a third, and a third, rather than change of tenant. Mainly this is because of the increased calls and my perspective, and Dwayne could give his perspective too, is just certain situations that come up when you look at tenants that have been there for 20 years or whatever, and it comes up and it's, there's safety issues, there's fire issues, and, we say, well, why haven't we seen this? Well, it's because we only do it under tenant change, and we really probably should be doing it a little bit more in order to make sure we prevent those, hoarding situations and things of that nature. So again, from a daily basis, this doesn't change anything we're doing at the township, but it is a piece of, I want to say legislation, but an ordinance that allows us to continue to do it in a better and legal way, in my opinion. I can let Dwayne add to that if he wants. Mark's here as well, but that's the general premise of it.
Would you have the manpower to enforce that with the apartment buildings that we have?
Yes, Dave and I
There's a
spoke.
couple.
Yeah, I mean, because we're already, so that when we look at breaking it down, the third, and the third, it's similar numbers to doing it. We're just kind of catching more possible.
It's actually a slight
It's a
increase.
slight increase, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying, yeah.
Yeah.
I know what
But-
you're saying. Some people live there for 25 years. And
Yeah.
it never changes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But actually, and Dwayne can speak to this, but one of the things we talked about was when you have a routine
Mhm.
and the versus
Yeah.
somebody calling up a change of tenant.
Yeah.
You're able to schedule a lot better and go a lot quicker. So.
Well, I don't know what's being looked at anyway right now.
Yeah,
We
we,
could be looking at them all anyway.
yep, and we do
I'm
have,
just curious to see like how much more burden it would put on you
yeah, I
to
mean,
get that done. It needs to be done. It
Yep.
should be done.
Dwayne, do you want to have any, do you have any thoughts on specifically your workload in this regard, since you'll be the one, kind of handling this on weekly basis?
Yeah, for me, it's more of the 3-year process will allow me year to year to free up time because I can now set my own schedule as far as when we're inspecting these units. Right now, there's times I get 10 or 12 at a time. So I may do, 5 or 6 a week. Other weeks I may do 15. So I can't really set my schedule for all the other things to do that. The other big reason is over the past 2 years while I've been here, we've had 2 apartment fires. One, the fire department was not able to get in the front door because the tenant was using that for storage. Luckily, it was a first floor unit and they were able to use the slider door. I was called out for another one by one of the facilities because they had hoarder conditions. They had different issues like that we're finding when we do this. The big reason for the change is so that we get into every unit. Right now, we're only hitting about 25% of the apartments because of people being there 2, 3, 5, 10 years. This will get us into every unit on a 3-year basis and allow us to be able to find violations and help the apartment complexes be more safe for the people that are staying there. I've reviewed this with most of the complexes and most of the management is for this ordinance and for the change to the rotation. So that's the big reason for doing it.
Let me see if I have this straight now. You're gonna go into every apartment at least every 3 years.
Correct.
And also when they change hands,
No,
No,
when we get a new tenant,
no. Yeah, just
just every. 3 years.
everything.
Okay, well, you were doing it differently up to now, weren't you?
We were
As
doing
needed.
change in tenant. only.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but you're not gonna do the changing tenant.
Correct, yes.
Okay, so, this is a departure then. This isn't a codification of present practice. This is a slight departure.
Well, I guess there's 2 issues. There's the ordinance that gives us the ability to do rental inspections at all. And that's kind of what I was referring to
Okay.
as not a departure. But you're right, the way we're doing them is a bit of a departure.
Okay, the second question I have is there a charge to the tenant or to the landlord for doing this?
The charge to the landlord,
Just the landlord?
yes.
How much?
Single family homes is 75, was it 75 and 150, Dwayne? Depending on,
it's $70 for a complex and 150 for an individual.
okay, so single family homes are a little bit more work, so they're slightly more because there's a lot more to check.
Right.
So yeah,
Okay, thank you.
so it cannot pass tonight, Mr. Chairman. This is asking the authority for myself and Mark to advertise it for passing at the February 18th meeting, since it needs to be advertised for at least 1 week.
All right. Do we have any further questions? Anyone on Zoom?
We need to make a motion then?
Yep.
Jody, have any?
All good.
I'm gonna make.
right.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion to authorize the township manager and township solicitor to advertise the proposed ordinance governing rental inspections in East Goshen Township.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. No,
Aye.
Voting? All right.
I didn't think you were gonna be able to make it, Cody. It's nice to hear your voice.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Vacancy.
appointment for the vacancy board chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this was a little bit of an administrative error on my part. I was going off of the ABC list that we passed last year, but I didn't realize that we passed the vacancy board chair at a different time. So this has to get reappointed on a yearly basis, so I will update that so that doesn't happen again. But essentially, the vacancy chair sits on the vacancy board with 4 of the remaining board members. So the whole idea of the vacancy board is to they are charged with appointing a board of supervisor when one is either resigns or passed away. Those are usually the 2 circumstances. And last year it was Sean Ellsworth. I did not hear any changes in that regard, so that is who I have on here tonight for appointment.
Mr. Chairman, I move we appoint Sean Ellsworth to the position of Vacancy Board Chair for the 2025 calendar year.
I'll second that.
Great.
Cody, second that. All good? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Good. All right, next is the appointment of WEGO at large commissioner.
Yes, thank you. So we do this again every January. We do this at our non-reorganizational meeting in January usually. So Tom Stone was the at-large commissioner for WEGO last year. He was appointed by both Westtown and East Goshen. And he has shown interest in the position again. I have no other candidates, so that is who I presumed would be getting a vote here.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we appoint Tom Stone as the at-large Westtown East Goshen Police Commissioner for the year 2025. Second.
You should say 2025.
I said
You said the right one.
I would add that working with Tom on the police commission, just in a little bit that I've met him, he is definitely diligent for taxpayers and understands looking at police expenses and reviewing everything and seeing where costs are needed and not needed, and with his police experience lends a very valuable perspective.
All right, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion. Mr. Chairman, I move we accept the resignation of Anthony Natale from the Environmental and Sustainability Advisory Council effective immediately.
I'll second that reluctantly.
Call that to vote.
Let me just say, we appreciate the service that Anthony did. He was chair of the ESAC, and we'll miss his service.
And we are down to 2 members on that board, is my understanding.
Three.
Three. So we'll be needing to recruit some folks for that.
I'm actually going to go to the ESAC meeting Monday, and I think one of the agenda items will be brainstorming that exact issue. So.
All right.
All right. Yep, I'll call the question. Everyone in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, thank you. And then Derek, you're gonna send a thank you letter for his service? Yep. Cool, thank you. Appreciate that.
So, Mr. Chairman, I had a standing issue, as promised, putting on the board meeting agenda, every third Tuesday,
Mhm.
discussion on the possible February 4th. I do not have anything pressing where we would have to meet time sensitive February 4th. So February 18th is fine. I will give you an early heads up. I think March, we're gonna have to meet both Tuesdays, mainly because of a couple of land developments that will possibly come through and the restraints that we have there from a time perspective. So okay with the February 18th meeting, but March, please just plan to meet both Tuesdays, the 1st and 3rd.
All right, that sounds good. We can do that.
Yep.
All right. Are there any other matters? There are no other matters. Is there any public comment here in the room or on Zoom? Are there any liaison reports? All three. Any correspondence reports of interest?
Then, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second that motion.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Cody.
Bye, Cody.
Thanks, Cody.